today's video we are going to be reviewing Thor: The Dark World. And I'm really interested in seeing the comment section on this review. Because here's the thing. I actually think that this is the best Thor movie. Let me explain why. Hello guys and welcome back to Dylan's Little Hobbies.
Subscribe to Dylan's Little Hobbies right now.
Alright, so, I know with a statement like that, I'm already getting, Thor Ragnarok's the best, Thor Ragnarok's the best, do you not like Thor Ragnarok? This movie sucks, it's the worst, no, it's, actually, you know, it's weird, when you think of the big three of the MCU, you do not think about Hulk. You do not think about Hawkeye. No one thinks about Hawkeye. Hawkeye gets the end of the stick all the time. You think of Iron Man. You know? You think of Captain America. You know? And these two characters' stories. And the third one, you think of Thor. Personally, to me, it's kind of weird. I don't necessarily like Thor that much. Don't get me wrong. I've watched the first Thor movie like 100 times. I prefer the Iron Man character because, I don't know, I mean, I understand what Thor is going through in his first movie. You know, he's very arrogant, he's kind of a hothead, he's brought up as royalty, he's gonna be the best of the best. And then he's brought to reality in that movie. And granted, it's a really great lesson. I just enjoy Tony Stark's story a lot more with him being pretty much already at the top, thinking he's the best of the best. And then seeing what his own inventions that he made to not only make money, you know, but made him rich and everything, but those own inventions that he made to hopefully protect his home, protect the people that he loved. And yes, okay, so he's a little bit of a jerk to the people he loved. I mean, look how he treats Pepper and Brody in that movie. But he starts to change in that movie, and that's something that I love about Iron Man. Something I love about Tony Stark's character is how he just starts to change in that movie. And don't get me wrong, Thor does go through a change as well in his story. When it comes to, of course, the great hero, Captain America, the dude is perfect, and yet it's perfect. I don't know what to say about it. Everyone loves Captain America. But I don't know, the reason why I just don't really attach to Thor that much is because I just can't take Thor seriously, honestly. I just can't. I can take Tony Stark seriously, I can take Captain America seriously, I just can't take Thor seriously in the first Thor movie. The only time I took Thor seriously in that movie was when he actually stepped up and went toe-to-toe, powerless to that basic robot that Loki sent on planet Earth. And that was the only time, and then he gets his powers back in that moment. I'm like, yeah! Everyone's like, yeah! That's why we love Thor! Personally, throughout the first Thor movie, he's not my favorite character of that movie. Loki it's not my favorite. The Thor movie is not my favorite movie of the MCU. he's pretty much mid-tier for me. But I gotta admit, the first Thor movie is fantastic. I loved it. And not my favorite film, but I'm about mid on it. Where everyone is high up here, I'm about mid on it. But now, as you grow on into Thor's character, a lot of people get mixed. As am I, actually. And mostly, it starts not with the first Avengers movie, because the first Avengers movie was perfect. He was just trying to get his brother back and stop a war. And the thing is, in that movie, again, sure, he cracks a couple jokes, but I can take Thor serious in that movie. And even in the first Thor movie, I should mention this, he's funny because he's being serious. He's not the joke. He's saying the joke. The joke is that he's being absolutely serious. You know, he's just a bit more arrogant than I like him. He stays a lot more arrogant through the movie than Tony did in the first Iron Man movie. That's how I feel about Thor. However, in Thor: The Dark World, it's the last movie that I actually feel like I can take Thor 100% seriously. Now, I'm not saying that Thor: The Dark World doesn't have its problems, because I don't like the fact that Thor's girlfriend is dating some other guy, you know. I can understand why she's mad at Thor, you know, seeing Thor in New York and then never coming back to visit her. But of course, once she understands about the situation Thor's in, that is obviously brought to side. So what is the main story here? The main story, I think it's good. I think it's a really great movie. It's a darker film, and it's part of the MCU's what I call the test phase. They're testing their characters. They're seeing what works, what doesn't. Maybe something works in one movie, but maybe something went too far in the same movie, and so they decided to take that character into a different route. That's what happens with Thor. Everyone in this movie, for some reason, didn't like Thor being a darker character, so in the next couple of movies, they resorted back to Thor making jokes and being funny. Only here's the problem. He's become the joke. He's not telling the jokes. That's the problem with Thor nowadays, you know? And don't get me wrong, I know what you gotta say. So you hate Thor Ragnarok? Again, I'm mid-tier on it. I love Thor Ragnarok. Thor Ragnarok is hilarious. Love that film. But I have to admit this. I love the jokes in that film. Great. But when I think of the big characters of the MCU, I don't want Thor becoming the joke like he does in that movie. Granted, that movie is great, it's funny, it's so good, but I feel like you could have pulled down the humor just a little bit and do a little bit of a darker tone in that movie, similar to what we do in Thor: The Dark World, and I think it would have been great to have Thor joking around, because the thing about it in this movie is he doesn't joke around as much as he does in the other movies. So I feel like, you know, both of these movies, Thor: The Dark World needs to be a little bit funnier, and Thor Ragnarok needs to be a little bit darker. But really, these movies are fantastic, both of them. And Thor: The Dark World, what the story is, let's go ahead and get into reviewing Thor: The Dark World, because that's what this video is supposed to be. Thor actually goes to planet Earth when he finds out that Heimdall can't find Jane. He's always going to Heimdall and wanting to know what's going on with her. You know, quote-unquote spying on her, but mostly, you know, he wishes he could go to her, but he just can't, because he's trying to bring peace to the entire galaxy that Loki has stirred up, Loki being stuck in jail. He goes to her when he finds out Heimdall couldn't find her, and the reason why Heimdall couldn't find her was because it turns out she found like a magical portal on planet Earth that transported her to wherever they hid the dark liquid that is. We all know of it. We all know what this is going to be, so let's just say it, because I love the fact that they really introduced it in this movie. It's the reality stone, and people will say, oh, it shouldn't be no, the reality stone can be whatever it wants, and it's a liquid so it can enter bodies, and hopefully if it can find a strong enough host, it can give the user great power over reality itself. That's what the reality stone is. It wants to be free. It wants to create havoc with its power and stuff like that. People don't recognize that in this movie, that the stone also wants out, you know, and it's just laying there until someone finds it. And who finds it? Unfortunately, it happens to be Jane. When Thor comes back to me here, and it's obvious that that power is within her, he has to go back to, of course, Asgard, take her, and Odin wants Thor to become king of Asgard. And so, you know, it's so funny because whenever he talks to Loki, he wants Loki to respect the humans. He wants Loki to respect the Midgard people. But he wants Thor to be higher than them. So Odin's a really interesting character because while, yes, he does respect at humans, they respect him. He's like, you know, just because we're just like him, they die too, you know. At the same time, he's kind of a jerk because look how he treats her. He wants Thor to be king. He doesn't want Thor messing with some mortal woman that's gonna die in 10 years. He wants Thor to be king of Asgard for the next, you know, 10,000 years or however long they live. Because, of course, we do know that Asgardians do have blood. They live very long lives compared to humans, but they do eventually die. So it's just, it's really funny. He's a total hypocrite in this movie, I feel like. But I like that about the movie. Kind of shows Odeon as the hypocrite in this movie. It's kind of good. It's kind of fun. What basically happens is Loki, of course, is being Loki. He's stuck in jail. He's mad. Eventually, you know, with Jane being in such trouble, Thor wants to protect her. Thor wants to save her life. This whole thing awakens the Dark Elves. And the only thing I wish is that it wasn't the Dark Elves. I wish, instead of the Dark Elves being awakened, I wish this was, and I know that in the comic books it was the Dark Elves. It was probably Dark Elves. I wish it wasn't awakening the Dark Elves in this movie, because the fact is, the Dark Elves, really, I know they play a big part in this movie. I know they play the main threat of the movie, but they're a main threat in this movie, not to, they're a threat to Earth, they're a threat to Asgard, but they don't really seem like a threat to the universe. You know what would seem like a threat to the universe? The Ice Giants, Loki's people. I wish instead of the Dark Elves, we got more Ice Giants coming, waking up, trying to take over Asgard by using the stone. You know, I thought that would have been really cool. But basically what happens is they wake up, they go after Thor, they go after this power, they eventually run amok, destroying the jail where Loki is being kept and laying all the prisoners out except Loki, attacking everybody, and it's because of Loki that one prisoner goes to the left, to the stairs to the left, and kills Thor's mother. And again, killing Thor's mother, that is a huge moment to Thor. It's a dark moment to Thor. I just really like that. And of course, Loki and Thor teaming up later on in the movie, I just like that. The rest of the movie is basically, we all know the story. We know how it goes. Thor has to defeat the Dark Elves. He goes to planet Earth, where the big battle goes. You know, I wish it wasn't on planet Earth. And if it was on planet Earth, why didn't we call in Iron Man or something? Why didn't we get a cameo with him or something like that? No, it should have been Earth. It should have just been Asgard, and it should have been probably some other planet. Now, eventually Thor does save her, but I have a way I think would fix this movie, and I'm going to say that for a different video. Personally, I think this movie overall is mid-tier. I really do like the film, but even I have to admit it does have a lot of problems, and so I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10, which is higher than a lot of people do. I think Thor: The Dark World is the best Thor movie because it treats Thor seriously. I could take Thor serious in this movie. I could take Thor serious in Avengers Infinity War as well. He's the best in Avengers Infinity War. I just kind of wish they did counteract his character from Thor Ragnarok as well. And I mean, there's so much more to talk about Thor. You can expect more videos on the character of Thor from me. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know your thoughts about Thor: The Dark World. Why do you hate it? I think it's the best movie because I can actually take Thor serious. This is the last movie where I can actually take Thor serious. He's not a joke in this film, and I really like that. I mean, he's not a joke in the other, in Thor or Avengers, the first one either, but he does become a joke later on to me. Thank you guys for watching, and I am out. Bye.
Subscribe to Dylan's Little Hobbies right now.